Good morning, friends. Dr. Dan here today, coming at you for the sequel of the cholesterol conspiracy, so part 2. If you're on a cholesterol lowering drug, you'll want to be watching this particular video. Unfortunately, when people have high cholesterol, the first thing that most professionals do is put you on a cholesterol lowering drug, which is known as a statin. Around about 10% of the Australian population, which is about 2.1 million people, are on a cholesterol lowering drug, which is around about 99.999% too many people that are on these cholesterol lowering drugs. And the way a cholesterol lowering drug actually works, interestingly enough, is to lower your cholesterol. It's also known as a HMG-CoAce inhibitor, and it blocks specific receptors which actually produce cholesterol. The problem with cholesterol lowering drugs is, and there's a range of different problems, is that they can cause a lot of different side effects. So the main side effects that a lot of people experience if you're on a cholesterol lowering drug, or also known as a statin, is you get amnesia, so you can actually start to lose your thought processes and your memory. You can get muscle fatigue, which is a very big issue. You can be nauseous. So this occurs in a population size of around about less than 10% of people. But when people are on cholesterol lowering drugs for a significant period of time, it causes obviously significant side effects over the long term. But the biggest issue with cholesterol lowering drugs, or statins in my particular opinion, is the fact that they actually lower your CoQ10. CoQ10 is a specific antioxidant that's usually located in most of your organs, in particular your heart, and it's involved in the electron transport process. And unfortunately, what happens when you take cholesterol over a long period of time, your CoQ10 actually starts to decrease. And the CoQ10 is going to be helping your heart be healthy. Now, the ironic part is when you're taking a cholesterol lowering drug, for instance, it's supposed to lower your risk of a heart attack or stroke. But if you're lowering your CoQ10, it actually is going to essentially increase your risk of a heart attack or a stroke over a long period of time. Now, adults that obviously are over the age of 55 as well tend to have low CoQ10 levels by natural attrition. So these are things that we need to look at. So when you're on a statin or a cholesterol lowering drug, or if your health professional is saying, here, take a statin, I would highly question whether you actually need it. What you should be really looking for when it comes to specific tests of whether you're predisposed of having a heart attack or a stroke is looking at your arterial calcification score, and also looking at triggers or basic tests like your HDL and LDL. Now, this is a very basic test where you can actually monitor the good versus bad cholesterol, and if that's out of whack, it might be a good reason to actually get a more specific test known as a C-reactive protein test. C-reactive protein is an inflammatory biomarker that actually increases in your blood when you have inflammation. And because, remember, in our last video, you get oxidation of your LDL or your cholesterol is occurring, that is known as inflammation. So if that's occurring in our arteries and we have too much of that going on, then C-reactive protein, when you get your blood test, that protein level should be a lot higher. So that's a nice little way to determine if you're predisposed to having a heart attack or stroke. Now, you might be saying, Dan, well, if I can't take a cholesterol lowering drug or a statin, what do I do? Well, there's basic things that you can do, like looking at obviously altering your nutritional patterns and exercising. I know that they're very simple things to discuss, very difficult for a lot of people to actually do. I'm not going to get into exercising or your physical nutrition, but what I will actually touch on is supplementation. So as I mentioned before, if you are on a statin or a cholesterol lowering drug, please take CoQ10 supplement, a high quality, good source CoQ10 supplement, because that's actually going to lower your CoQ10 levels, and it's going to combat what the statin or cholesterol lowering drug does when it comes to lowering those levels. So very important. If you're also at risk of a heart attack or stroke by having high C-reactive protein levels, or obviously high LDL versus HDL or high arterial calcification levels, you'll want to be taking CoQ10 in general, and the ideal amount you should be taking is around 150 milligrams to around 250 milligrams. Of course, that number will increase when you're older, and I personally believe again that everyone over the age of 55 should be taking a good quality CoQ10 supplementation. Now, the next key supplement that I always recommend if you're predisposed of having a heart attack or a stroke would be a good quality grape seed extract supplement. Now, the reason I recommend that is because what happens in your blood, as we know, is occurring is you get inflammation. How do you quell inflammation? Well, you do so by taking antioxidants, flavonoids, anthocyanins. So when you pick up a fruit or a vegetable, that redness or the purpleness, all those colors are essentially good quality antioxidant supplements, and they're going to help combat that inflammation that's occurring caused by free radical damage. When you're taking a good quality grapeseed extract, it contains flavonoids, anthocyanins, whole bunch of polyphenolic compounds that can actually mop up those free radicals that can cause inflammation in your actual arterial lining and cause potentially atherosclerosis. So good quality grapeseed extract is important. One of those compounds is known as resveratrol. Everyone's probably heard of it before. Essentially, it's a compound located in wine, and that's why people that drink wine, and I mean red wine, not white wine, red wine, on a consistent basis, the good quality stuff, at least one glass a day, actually have lower risks of heart attacks and strokes, with all things being equal. And the main reason for that is because of resveratrol. Now, resveratrol is a polyphenolic antioxidant compound that actually combats against free radical damage and inflammation, and that's why it's always recommended to take that or drink some wine, but again, it's only in a low quantity, so that's why you take a good quality grapeseed extract, which contains a whole bunch of those anti-inflammatory, antioxidant type compounds. The next that I always recommend when it comes to supplementation is always a big one, is probiotics. Now, how does probiotics linked to having lower risks of heart attacks and strokes and obviously lowering your cholesterol? Well, certain probiotic strains have actually been shown to lower your cholesterol, your LDL levels, by up to 10%, which is one reason to actually take a good quality probiotic supplement. In my previous videos, I did outline where you can get these from: kombucha, milk kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi. Anything that's fermented is highly advisable that you take that, because it actually resets your gut flora and fauna. In addition to that, apple cider vinegar, very, very important, because it does also lower your cholesterol level, believe it or not, by again around up to 10%. So apple cider vinegar has been shown to reduce your LDL levels by around up to 10%. So if you take the apple cider vinegar with your probiotic rich foods and your supplements, you're starting to pair them together and reduce your risk of having a heart attack or a stroke. My favorite as well is a supplement that everyone should be on, regardless if you're at risk of a heart attack or stroke, is a good quality fish oil supplement. Very, very important. So a fish oil supplement obviously has been linked to lowering heart attacks and strokes. They've done some major studies with obviously Inuit, which are the Eskimo people, consuming significant amounts of fatty fish, cold water fish like salmon, like tuna, like mackerel, which are rich in EPA and DHA. And again, it goes back to what's occurring in our blood, because in our blood you get atherosclerosis, you get the buildup of plaque, and that's because of inflammation and oxidation of LDL, the cholesterol. So what we can do to try and quell that is to take a good quality fish oil supplement. And again, the ideal dose that most adults should be aiming for of EPA to DHA is around that 800 milligrams to 1,000 milligrams. That's the optimal amount. You can go higher. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but if you are on a blood thinner or warfarin, I would recommend not going or reaching above 3 to 4 grams of EPA or DHA. The other supplement that I always recommend everyone should be on, regardless of if you're predisposed to a heart attack or stroke, again, is a good quality multivitamin or multimineral. So what's usually occurring, obviously, in your body when you've got that buildup of the oxidized cholesterol, and then you get the buildup of plaque, it basically can actually, in most cases, hinder your nutrition, especially in the gut level, where you've got inflammation of your microvilli and villi, and that's why you also want to be taking your fish oil in conjunction with your multivitamin, multimineral antioxidant supplement, so that you can absorb all the minerals that you need to try and help quell inflammation, because certain minerals like zinc, very important for your immune system, that actually can assist with that inflammatory related process. Now I want to leave you on a nice little statistic. There's been a number of different studies that have shown and proven this case that people that actually have heart attacks and strokes have around about half those people have a heart attack or stroke have normal cholesterol levels. So I'll repeat that again. 50% of the population that have a heart attack or a stroke in previous studies have normal cholesterol levels within the range recommended by the Australian Nutritional Guidelines. Very important. So what does that tell you? Well, that tells you that, number one, what's happening in your blood is you're getting inflammation in your oxidized cholesterol, and cholesterol is not the baddie. It's the oxidization that's occurring. So drilling down into the actual root cause of that problem, it's usually free radical damage and oxidation that's occurring to the cholesterol. What causes oxidation? In my previous video, it was high stress, poor nutritional diet and lifestyle issues, certain pharmaceutical drugs that can cause issues. Basically, if you're taking a statin or a cholesterol-lowering drug, in my opinion, it is a stopgap solution to the real problem, which is inflammation in your arteries. So to actually address that, you'll need to go deeper down and do some significant changes to either your health when it comes to physical exercising, when it comes to good nutritional eating patterns, when it comes to stress levels as well, but most importantly, looking at good quality supplementation, whether it's a fish oil supplement, a probiotic, taking apple cider vinegar, a CoQ10 supplementation, or it could be a good quality multivitamin, multimineral, antioxidant / grapeseed extract. So I hope you enjoyed the cholesterol conspiracy part 2. The reason I really wanted to do this video and create this video is because so many people that I meet are on cholesterol lowering drugs, and they've been put on them because it's the flavor of the month, so to speak. And I just want everyone to realize that yes, cholesterol lowering drugs have a purpose for some people, but for most people, it's really drilling down and actually looking at good nutritional lifestyle choices and supplementation that can help you, because you do not want to have the side effects that accompany statins or cholesterol lowering drugs if you can avoid it if possible. So part of this video is to actually challenge and question people in the healthcare professional world. Take this information to them, especially if they're going to be putting you on a statin, your loved one on a statin, your grandparents on a statin, and make sure you understand the consequences and repercussions of that. So thank you very much for joining me on this Cholesterol Conspiracy Part 2. Please feel free to like, obviously share if you think it's very good information. I had a great response from the first video, so no doubt many people will be sharing this video as well. And comment down below, especially if you have some thought-provoking discussions when it comes to cholesterol and statins in particular. Until next week, friends, I'll be back next week with some more topics, some more interviews with some people as well. So stay tuned and have a happy and healthy week. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.